Hi Digital Chiefs. So today I'm going to talk through 3 different ways you can look for startup investors that you might not have thought of before. Number 1, your customers, your partners, and potentially even your competitors. This requires that you maybe go through your email list and have a look at those who've signed up for your particular product. See if you can actually work out what companies they're from. Some of them will actually have full names, so you can find them on LinkedIn and get actually some information from these groups. If they're already getting some value from your product or service, then it makes sense for you to perhaps extend the actual conversation. Some of you might actually think this is a little bit stalkerish, but the fact is they've actually signed up for your product or service, they're getting some sort of value, and it's really quite important if it's early in your journey that you build a relationship with those customers so you can get product feedback anyway and recommendations, insights that you never thought of, product features later down the track. You never quite know where these individuals might be, particularly if you're building a B2B business. So looking at partners more in detail, for example, if you're running a car solution of some sort, perhaps partnering with a petrol company is a good one. Looking at other car insurance websites, they might be actually great complementary investors. So the second one is finance events. This one I sort of stumbled across when I was living in New York. I was building a prop tech business, a prop tech media company, and I got invited to many finance events with a lot of real estate developers, real estate industry groups, and banking and finance, given that that tends to be complementary to real estate. And so I got access to a lot of investor events. They were investors in a different particular sector, but they are also really just investors, wealthy individuals that I could sit on a table next to. I got free access to a lot of these events, running a media company, but you could volunteer to go to some of these events. If you can write relatively well or can speak in front of the camera, perhaps you can volunteer to do some content for a finance publication and then be able to get a media pass and access to that particular event. After you've gotten access, it's really just a matter of you being able to understand how to network through the event and subtly pitch your way through. You never want to be too obvious. You're there to learn, but also build a network and really understand and be amongst that particular crowd. I know this is the way that I really built my network very quickly when I landed in New York and then when I came back to Australia as well. If you want me to do a video on networking at events, obviously not just exclusive to startup fundraising, leave me a comment below. Happy to really break that down a little bit more. So the third one, which is somewhat similar to the second one, but it is a separate category in my opinion, is industry events. So these could be charity events, these could be professional networking events in your particular sector. They could be actually related to your alma mater as well. I know in Australia, networking with your university is probably not as common. Certainly Asia Pacific, it is a slightly less common, but in the US, it's very common to continue to have a relationship with the university you studied at and them really being part of the journey in terms of growing your career. However, again, industry events, charities, particularly if you're running, for example, say a medical technology company, some sort of impact business. Charities aligned with that particular value tend to be really useful for you to network through to the board, network through to the executives as well. Obviously, don't go in to cold pitch everybody. Reputationally, that's not a great thing to do and you'll be kicked out very quickly. I think in general, when it comes to networking, you're there to deliver value to that community. It's really much a pay it forward sort of setup. The long term, hopefully that network sticks and stays with you. Let's be honest, startups start and then they fail, but these networks are going to be valuable to you regardless of how your startup goes. So keep that in mind. Make sure you're really there to support that community. Don't go in just pitching everybody. So that's it. That's 3 quick ways you might not have thought of to find startup investors. If you're looking for other ways, I actually do have a PDF that outlines 22 ways you can look for startup investors. The link for that is in the footer below. If you want me to elaborate a little bit more on how to actually build a network and connections to investors through networking, leave me a comment below. If there's enough interest, I will put up a video on that as well. Good luck with your fundraising.